Today it is baking day at Pie Heart U, and we're gonna make a fresh blackberry pie. So we've got about 4 cups of blackberries, and we're gonna make it into a nice fresh fruit pie. So I hope you enjoy it. Come along, let's start baking. First, we're gonna start making the crust. So in your food processor, you want to put the 2½ cups of flour, the 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. And then pulse it a couple times, make sure it gets really mixed up. Then we're going to chop up the cold butter into cubes. It's 1 cup of butter, and add it to the food processor. And then we're going to pulse it several times. And just make sure it makes little tiny crumb-like particles. When you open it up and you squeeze it together, you can kind of see if it's the right consistency. When it looks like it's real crumbly, we want to start adding our ice water. So we have 7 tablespoons of ice water. You'll add a couple at a time, pulse it, and then add a couple more and pulse it, and then that 7th one. Depending on your climate and your weather, sometimes you need to add a little tiny bit more water. So you just want to make it. When you open up the lid and you squeeze it together, it holds a shape. You can shape it into a little ball, and then you know it's ready. Lightly dust your surface and then pour out your crust mixture onto your surface. You want to gently push all of your crust ingredients together to where it shapes a ball. Divide the dough in half. One will become the bottom crust, and one you'll cut into the lattice work. Alright, start rolling out that bottom crust. You want to roll from the center to the outsides, gently pressing until you get the desired size that you need for a 9-inch or 10-inch pie pan. Cut your pie crust to the size that you need for your pie pan. With your rolling pin, touch the edge of the crust and roll it up so you can lift it and then place it in your pan. All right, now we're gonna roll out the top crust. So we're gonna roll it out just the same way we did the bottom crust until we get a nice size, similar to the size that we put on the bottom. And then we're gonna cut it into long strips. Right, I'm using the pastry wheel that has a little scalloped edge to cut my strips of dough. You can make your strips any width. You can make thin to really wide strips depending on how much dough you have and the area that you need to cover on your pie. So I ended up with 12 strips of dough, so I know I can use 6 to go across the pie and then 6 to go in the other direction. So now we're going to prepare the berry filling. So I've got 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of tapioca, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and then half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and mix it well. I'm going to pour this over the top of the blackberries. You can use 4 to 6 cups of blackberries. I have about 5. Make sure all the blackberries get coated with this dry mixture. Now I'm going to add the juice of half a lemon and just a splash of almond extract. Alright, it's time to put all the berries into that bottom crust. Place a few pieces of butter on top of the berries. Now the fun part, we get to start weaving the top of the pie crust. So just laying the strips on top of the berries, just weave it over and under until you finish it the way you want and crimp the edges. Make an egg wash of 1 egg and a teaspoon of milk, mix it up and brush it all over the top of the pie crust. And then sprinkle it with a little sugar and it's ready to go in the oven. Place a pie shield on the edges of the pie to protect the crust. Bake at 425 for 15 minutes and then 350 for 45 minutes to an hour. Make sure there's a drip pan underneath the pie to catch all those juicy drippings.